Welcome back to Northern Virginia Living. My name is Viktar. This is Roya. And we are going to cover 5 buyer mistakes we see happening every day in this crazy Northern Virginia market.
Make sure you stay until the end because we're going to reveal the bonus tip on what to do when you're a first-time home buyer.
All right.
And also make sure you like and subscribe our channel where we add a lot of value, and we'd love to hear back from you as well. So make sure you comment below and let us know what we can do. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so let's get started. Point number 1.
Do your homework about practically everything. The great real estate agent will always help you figure out the areas, but do your homework regarding the schools and then make sure the school boundaries are as of this current year, because as we know, like, school boundaries are changing. Do your homework about the crime rate, about anything else that you like in the area.
Because they're public data. You're able to find everything online.
Exactly, everything is public data. Again, if let's say we're working with our buyers, we always help to navigate. As part of the process, you will receive, let's say, HOA documents or condo documents. Make sure to review it and maybe ask questions ahead of time from the association. We had an example not too long ago where a buyer had 2 large dogs, and we were under contract, so we had to withdraw because condo association did not allow.
They had breed restrictions, they had weight restrictions, so you really want to.
Common, but you would want to research ahead of time or find a place like without even HOA. There are several areas without HOA. The point is, do a lot of research. Don't just go in the first one that you see. The research is very important in your home buying process. All right, point number 2.
Okay, so when it comes to buying your next home, you want to make sure that you do your homework, as Viktar just mentioned. You also want to make sure that you speak with several lenders, and you want to make sure that you lock in the best rate possible. With that said, you want to make sure that you have a pre-approval letter, not a
qualification.
Exactly.
Because qualification doesn't really mean anything. So
exactly. So you want to make sure that you find a pre-approved letter, and you want to make sure that you have a local lender. A lot of times we see first time or second or third time home buyers come in with large bank institutions, and so for us it's very important to be able to reach the lender Sunday afternoon at 3 or 4 p.m. So what we recommend is to go with a smaller lender. If you have any questions, of course, you can let us know. We know a few, but there's only one that we work with. But yeah, you want to make sure that you have that pre-approval letter in hand.
Right, because market moves so fast. Let's say you find a house today and the contract review, and it happened before. House gets listed on Friday, they're reviewing contracts Monday morning. Will you have time Saturday and Sunday to get pre-approval? If you go, for example, with the large institutions, they might not even respond until Tuesday afternoon. They are busy.
Right.
So start the process early. You would want to talk to the lender to get your comfortable budget, monthly payments and things like this.
Right. And you also want to ask a lot of questions. Like, the right lender will listen to you and will answer all your questions, regardless of how long you'll take. They will take the time to answer all your questions. So be prepared. Another point that I wanted to make is that while you are under contract, at this point, you want to make sure that you do not make any large purchases. So my number 1 tip is do not go and sign up for a new car. If you're financing, if you're paying cash, no problem, go for it.
Yeah, if you have enough for down payment, right?
Exactly.
For the car
so, but if you're going to, make a large purchase when it comes to buying expensive jewelry, buying yourself a Rolls Royce or Lamborghini, I don't recommend it. So you want to make sure that you steer off for the next 30 to 60 days until you close, until you have, that contract settled. So
exactly. This all includes, don't open new credit cards, don't open any credit lines, don't rent furniture. Just good lender will always
guide you through the process.
But at the same time, just do what you normally were doing. Like if you were grocery shopping twice a week, let's say, continue doing this, but don't try to open new credit card, because this will negatively affect. The last thing you want is your loan not going through just because you had that extra necessary payment that you were not expecting before. So be very, very careful. This is all part of the lending process, and a great lender will always guide you on the right.
Okay, point number 3.
Point number 3, don't get a part-time agent. we've seen this before when we are talking to other buyers who are frustrated. They said like, we found the house, we want to go see it, and our agent is not available. Our agent has other obligations, has other work. And this is the worst thing that can happen to a buyer. Buyer will fall in love with the house, right, looking from the pictures, and the agent cannot take them, right? So it's in a fast moving market like Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland. It's very important to have someone who is experienced, who is knowledgeable, and who is full-time, right?
Right. You want to make sure that your agent definitely dedicates their time to you and answers all your questions and, picks up the phone when you call them. So especially when it comes to making appointments, Viktar just made a really good point. I have clients who got very frustrated with their agent because he or she was just not available when they needed them, and so they would lose out on the deal. So it's important at this time in this market to go in as soon as the house hits the market, to go see it in person. I've also seen people submitting a contract on a home that they haven't seen, like sight unseen, as they say that. This happens, especially when people are, really like falling in love with the pictures, but there's definitely different ways to, schedule the appointment, to go see it. If you change your mind down the line, depending on what contingencies you have marked on your contract, you may or may not be able to get out of it. But this is like what we're looking at right now at this time with the real estate market in Northern Virginia.
Right. Yeah. So let's mention the listing agent. A lot of buyers are thinking like, oh, I'll just go to the listing agent and then we'll get my deal accepted. So here's a very important point. The listing agent represents the seller. The listing agent does not represent you. You might have a lot of experience in real estate and you know what you're doing. At the same time, it's their fiduciary duty to represent the seller.
Right.
So it's a very
black and white.
Right. So it's you're taking your own risk. If you're doing it, go ahead. If you have a lot of experience, you know what you're doing, and you might have a real estate attorney to review the paperwork. Then you can. It's just there. Be very careful. That's what it is.
So there's definitely options. I've had, we've seen scenarios where a listing agent also becomes a buyer's agent. But you want to make sure that you're very clear about all the terms. You want to make sure that both of your interests are, taken at stake. But my recommendation, because it doesn't cost you a penny basically to go with a buyer's agent, I would say find a realtor whom you trust, someone who is willing to work for you, someone who is willing to pick up the phone, if you have any questions or if you want to go see the property at 4:30 p.m. So make sure you hire someone who has your best interest in mind.
Right, exactly, because the listing agent has the seller's best interest in mind and not yours. For them, it's important to protect the seller's privacy and confidentiality. Point number 4.
Do not fall in love with the home. And what I mean by that is, I know it's very tempting, especially when you walk into a home and this is going to be your home. I know it's a lot to consider, and a lot of times, with me personally, emotions can get involved because, I could definitely see myself, living at that property. But what you want to make sure is you keep a straight mind, and you want to make sure that you discuss all the terms with your realtor. As far as contingencies, we recommend hiring a inspector to do the inspection. If you have a lot of money in the bank and you know that you're going to be okay financing wise, there's different contingencies that you can waive or you can keep. All that being said, you want to make sure that you're ratified, that your contract is accepted before you fall in love with the home. I even take it even further, and we have our disagreements sometimes, and I say, it's maybe better to fall in love with it once you get the keys actually at the settlement, because sometimes things can go up. We do the best we can, with our clients. I've had very, very rare instances. I actually can't even come up with anything at this point, but the deals go through, but there is things that come up during the process of, getting the house settled. So you want to make sure that you keep your emotions in line.
Right, so until you ratify or get the keys, don't fall in love with the house, because it's so frustrating to see, to go to the next one, and the buyer will always compare next home with the prior one that they really, really like. And it's a very hard shift for something else, because every time it's like, oh, that house on the 123 Main Street was so much better. I
Right.
fell in love with it. It just, don't put yourself through this hassle, because their homes, there will be another one. There is always another one. Right now we're fighting so many offers. Last 3, I say, 14 contracts, 15 contracts, and 8 offers, and all Springfield. The last one was Burke, and in Maryland. So it's super tough. And once you walk in, fall in love with the house, this is the one, that's the one and only I want. It's just, we don't want your heart to be broken. So just, that's the word of caution. Until you get a contract, until you settle, don't fall in love with the house.
Okay, with that being said, it's time for number 5.
Point number 5, don't pay your buyer's agent. As a norm, and again, you might have a different arrangements with your agent, and then you might have to compensate additionally the buyer's agent. But as a norm, seller covers seller agent commission and the buyer's agent commission. So let's say our service is completely complimentary to you,
Right.
because it's very important for us, for you to get the best
Experience possible.
ever buying a
Right.
home, because it's already stressful transaction. It's not easy to go through, and then we want to take all the stress away from you.
Right.
So again, it's completely complimentary. And if you decide to compensate additionally and you have additional agreements with your agent, it's entirely up to you.
Right.
But
That's a
norm,
personal choice.
exactly.
In Northern Virginia,
Yes.
from what I have seen, we as agents, we've been doing this business. We've been in this business for close to 10 years. So what we want to do is want to make sure that you're happy, that you get the best service possible, that you walk away and you recommend this to your friends and family. And that's all. It's not about the money, it's about the service. Okay. It's time for bonus. So as promised, I definitely wanted to cover this point because it's such a busy time of the year. It's basically Christmas for real estate. There's a ton of activity going on as we're speaking. Lots of contracts are being submitted, and a lot of listings are coming on the market. So I just wanted to say, if you fall in love with that particular house and you want it so badly, be reasonable. Do your research. Make sure your agent does the work for you. Make sure they, assess what the market value is, and do not overpay. That's my tip number 1, because it may not eventually appraise. Because we really, in all honesty, we don't know where the market is going to be
Right.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, and let's say you want to move to Denver, Colorado in the next 10 years, and then you want to make sure that you pay a reasonable price. Again, in all honesty, it does happen right now, especially right now, where a home has been listed at the listing price. Let's say it's $500,000. There will be buyers who are going to pay over, but we're talking about reasonable. And what do I mean by reasonable? 20, 30?
I mean, again, on average, we see right now, so this is what, March 2021, we see on average buyers are paying 10% above asking
Right.
price. And again, there are so many different variables.
Right.
It depends on how big is your earnest money deposit, if you have any contingencies or anything else like this, because we've seen buyers escalate even higher, but they keep their appraisal contingency, and that's one of the things because that's will put a ceiling on how much over you can go. But again, by overpaying, you just overstretching. So our tip for you is just make sure you're comfortable financially.
Right, exactly.
If that's what you want, that's perfectly fine. But again, overpaying, that might be, and especially in the beginning while you're looking, because we had buyers starting at 400 and then they jumped a little bit more, 425, 450, then they end up to 500. So just has to be reasonable. Again, we cannot advise you on what the reasonable number is for you, but it's up to you. For us, it's a way to make sure everything will appraise, to make sure you get in a good value, getting good
Right,
service.
and it's important for us to do that research ahead of time. Like when you give us a listing, you say, good, this is the home that I want to go and I want to put an offer on it, right? So what do we do first? We go ahead and we'll do the market analysis.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
so you want to make sure that it's reasonable. And that is our advice to you. You can decide on how much you want to put down and how much you would want to offer for the home. But, we do like to give you honest feedback.
All right, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much
and
for watching us.
don't forget to comment and subscribe. We always respond to all the comments. If you have any questions at all about Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland real estate market, statistics, or anything else, we'll have
Let us know. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, I'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.